dirty, and his mouth tasted like ass, and not in the good way, so his toothbrush was a priority. Naturally, his cell phone rang somewhere in the house. Michael always thought of not answering a call, or at least looking at the number, as leaving work unfinished. So he abandoned the bathroom trip in favor of searching out his phone. He found it on the floor of the kitchen. County Hospital, with a Texas exchange. His old home county. With a wiggle of dread in his gut, Michael answered. "Hello?"
"Is this Michael Pearce?"
a feminine voice asked.
"Yes, it is."
"Mr. Pearce, my name is Susan, and I'm a patient advocate at Clare County Hospital. I have you listed as Elmer Pearce's emergency contact."
"Oh, God. The old man's kicked it?"
Yes, I'm his son."
"Is he dead?"
"No. He's stable at the moment. Mr. Pearce, your father had a stroke early this morning. He was found by a neighbor and rushed to our emergency room, where we were able to stabilize him. He's been briefly conscious, but we still don't know the extent of the damage from the stroke."
Michael stared at a pretentious portrait he'd never liked, but Kenny had insisted they buy. Honestly, for a flaming gay man, Kenny had the worst taste in home decor. But Michael had indulged him. Why hadn't he taken the damn painting and left Roscoe?
"Mr. Pearce?"
"What? Sorry."
"I understand this can be upsetting news."
She rattled off a few things Michael's hungover brain couldn't make a lot of sense of, until she got to,
"He has some paralysis on his right side, so he will need help at home once he's discharged, at least for a little while."
His gut clenched, and he moved closer to the kitchen sink. "Paralysis?"
"It's not uncommon with stroke victims, but as I said before, it's early hours, and we're still assessing him. He can, of course, receive visitors. I can give you the address if—"
"No. I grew up there. I know where it is. I'm, in Austin, so it'll be a while before I can get up there."
"Of course. He'll likely be out of the ER and in a room by the time you arrive, so you can ask at the main desk."
"Thanks, I guess." He ended the call and put his phone on the counter, brain whirling with too many things he needed to do. Pack a bag. Figure out how to get there. Flying into Amarillo was obviously faster, but by the time he found a flight with enough time to get through TSA, he'd probably be just as well off driving the 8 or so hours to his home county. He'd have his own car instead of driving around in his father's dusty old truck. A dusty old truck Michael had tried to replace more than once over the years, but Elmer wouldn't take his money. And not because the money had come from a gay dating app. Elmer was just too proud to accept financial help from anyone, even his own estranged son. So he made his metal folk art and clung to a huge piece of land he really didn't need out of stubbornness and spite. And Michael had stayed in Austin, living the life he thought he wanted to live. Until everything had come crashing down. Michael gazed around the huge chrome and white kitchen and no longer saw himself in it. Having and spending money was wonderful when you were used to being poor, like he'd grown up back in Weston. Having a refrigerator that talked to him seemed like the best thing in the world. Every new gadget, every great invention was scattered around this house. A house Kenny had abandoned for another man with even more money and an even bigger house. Michael hadn't wanted to contest the divorce. Between the cheating he could prove and the intellectual property theft he couldn't, Michael simply wanted things over as quickly and cleanly as possible, so they'd filed no fault and let their lawyers divide up their shockingly meager assets. Michael got the house and half their joint account, which hadn't amounted to much in the way of cash after the mortgage, car payment, and lawyer fees. And with the way Kenny had fucked him over on the business side of things, his personal account wasn't going up any time soon, not until he sold the house. Maybe a week or two back home in Weston, taking care of his father for a while, was what he needed to clear his head and stop cuddling with the dog's rawhide toy. Take a break from the life he thought he wanted and get his priorities back in order. His only real issue, though, was money. Until the house sold, he had a couple of hundred in his personal account to last.